I learned very quickly that humor was dangerous around telepaths, especially alien ones. The first time I met Valeth, I didn't even know she could hear thoughts. None of us did. The diplomatic briefing had described her species, the Sirathi, as empathic, highly intelligent, and emotionally perceptive. Nothing about telepathy. Nothing about mind reading. That omission would turn out to be very intentional. We were stationed on Haven Spire, a neutral orbital city where dozens of species intersected. I was there as part of a human trade delegation, a glorified logistics officer whose main job was making sure cargo manifests matched alien customs laws. Valeth was assigned as our cultural liaison. She walked into the meeting chamber wearing flowing crystalline fabric that refracted the station lights into soft prisms. Her skin shimmered like polished obsidian dusted with starlight, and her eyes, silver gold and luminous, seemed to focus on everything and nothing at once. She was striking. I leaned toward my colleague and muttered under my breath, "Well, this is going to be distracting." I meant it as a joke. Valeth paused mid-step. She turned her head slowly, eyes locking onto mine. Then she smiled. Not politely, not diplomatically. Amused. "I know," she said calmly, her voice melodic. "You think I'm beautiful." The room went silent. Every human head turned toward me. My brain shut down. No, I was joking," I stammered. Her smile widened just a fraction. "Yes, you were." That was when I realized something was very, very wrong. The meeting continued, but I barely heard a word. My heart hammered as Valeth spoke about Sirathi customs, trade protocols, and shared security interests. Every so often, her gaze drifted back to me, and each time it felt like she was looking through me rather than at me. Afterward, I cornered her in the corridor. "Okay," I said quietly. "We need to talk." She tilted her head. "Of course." "You can hear thoughts," I said flatly. She considered this. "Yes." "That wasn't in your species profile." "No," she agreed. "It was not." "That feels like something people should know." Her expression softened. Humans broadcast their thoughts loudly. If you knew, you would try to hide them. That would be less honest. I crossed my arms. "So, you just listen without consent." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I hear surface thoughts only. Intent, emotion, fleeting impressions. Deep thoughts require permission. That doesn't make it better. It makes it survivable," she said gently. I didn't have a response for that. Over the next few days, I became acutely aware of every thought that passed through my mind when Valeth was nearby. I tried meditation, mental exercises, counting cargo crates in my head. None of it worked. She never commented again, but I could tell when she heard something. A slight change in her posture, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. Once, when I thought she looked tired, she glanced at me and said, "Concern suits you." I started to realize something unsettling. She wasn't mocking me. She was curious. One evening, after a long negotiation session, I found her alone on an observation deck overlooking the stars. She stood with her hands clasped behind her back, gazing into the void. "Do you ever get tired of hearing everyone?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "Constantly." "Then why stay in public service?" She glanced at me. "Because some minds are rare." My stomach tightened. "Rare how?" "Quiet in important ways," she said. "Loud in unexpected ones." I laughed nervously. "That doesn't sound reassuring." "It is," she replied. "To me." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what she might have heard, my insecurities, my fleeting attractions, my doubts about humanity's place in the galaxy. I wondered if she saw us as children, barely evolved enough to be trusted. The next morning, everything changed. Haven Spire went into lockdown. Alarms blared as security forces flooded the corridors. A hostile faction, one that opposed human inclusion in interstellar trade, had infiltrated the station. Negotiators were taken hostage. Delegates vanished. Valeth found me in the chaos. "You must come with me," she said urgently. "What's happening?" "Your species is being targeted." I swallowed. "Why?" Her jaw tightened. "Because some believe humans are unpredictable." We moved quickly through maintenance corridors. I could hear distant explosions, shouts in alien tongues. My hands shook, but Valeth was calm, focused. Until suddenly she wasn't. She staggered, pressing a hand to her temple. "Valeth, they're using psionic dampeners," she hissed. "Crude ones. Painful." I supported her, heart racing. "Can you still hear?" She met my eyes. "Only you." We reached a sealed chamber, a safe room designed to shield against energy weapons and mental intrusion. Once inside, she leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "I thought humans were weak," she said quietly. I frowned. "Thanks." She smiled faintly. "That is not what I mean." She looked at me fully, then really looked, and for the first time, I felt something brush against my mind. Not invasive, not controlling, an invitation. Images flashed. Her species' history, empires that rose and fell, wars fought with thoughts instead of weapons, minds broken by power, societies collapsing under the weight of too much knowledge. "And then," she whispered, "we found you." "What did you find?" I asked. She hesitated. "A species that feels deeply but cannot hear each other's thoughts. You're forced to communicate honestly or fail. To trust words." I realized then why the dampeners hurt her so badly and why I was unaffected. Human minds weren't built to broadcast or receive psionic signals. We were invisible to their weapons, immune to their control. "Your joke," she continued softly. "It was not embarrassing." "It wasn't. It was human," she said. "Unfiltered. Sincere. Unafraid of vulnerability." I exhaled slowly. "You really do read too much into things." She smiled. "Perhaps." When the hostile faction breached the safe room, they expected a terrified diplomat and a weakened telepath. Instead, they found something else. Valeth couldn't fight them mentally, but she could guide me. I shouted warning seconds before attacks came. I moved instinctively, dodging shots I shouldn't have seen coming. Together, we held them off until station security arrived. Afterward, as medical teams swept the area, Valeth took my hand. "You saved lives," she said. "We did," I corrected. She shook her head. "Without you, I would have been blind." In the weeks that followed, the Sirathi formally disclosed their telepathic abilities. The galaxy reevaluated humanity, not as weak, but as necessary. A species immune to mental domination. Natural mediators. Anchors in a psionically unstable universe. As for Valeth and me, we still talk. She no longer reads my thoughts without asking. Sometimes, when I make a joke and she smiles knowingly, I'll ask, "Did you hear that?" And she'll reply, "No, but I understand it." And somehow that means more.